Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Josh Sculpture about the top 10 dark forms. Now, I'm not sure if he means like corrupted heroes or just, dark entities, but either way, let's hop in and check it out. I hope you all brought a nightlight. There we go. Dark forms, darkness, yada yada yada. Come on. Oh wait, hold on. There we go, just had to bump up the quality a little. Damn, I think it's just too much for the intro. I mean, I love it, but it's just like my screen can't handle it.
The dark form. One of the most common ways to explore character. Seeing our otherwise noble heroes embrace darkness is usually an opportunity to see their other sides and even facilitate character development. As for how
And
it's played,
truly
there are
fun.
so many ways. Brainwashing, possession, alternate personality, curse, the list goes on. And who's to say
Damn
these
right it
forms
does.
have to be evil? Dark, but otherwise heroic ones are equally as viable for this list. Now, one very important distinction. These are
Soul
dark
of
forms,
Sindel.
not evil doppelgangers. The dark form of a character has to either be the same body as the original or a complete dark reflection of them. If it's a separate character with their own distinct personality, they don't count.
Uy, hermano, me visión
Hold
del
on,
futuro.
be right back. And we're back. Number 10.
There was a time when I really wasn't nice towards the Shadow Pokemon games, and while I'm still annoyed at all the time-wasting animations and bleak corridors, I've learned to appreciate the series taking a non-standard approach to the gameplay.
I'm sorry, but the way that characters walk, that was like a joke. Just waddle. So we'll put a soundtrack to that.
And what they came up with left a strong enough impression to be a major cult classic. Heck, it even gave us its own version of a brooding, edgy Pokemon form. Shadow Lugia is the poster legendary of XD Gale of Darkness, being Team Cypher's finest trump card. Surprised Ari didn't cover it in the legendaries list, but hey, good time to do so here. In an effort to create the most powerful Shadow Pokemon.
I mean, would you technically count it as a box art legendary? I mean, yes, it's a box art legendary, but it's not a main story legendary. The Colosseum games were side stories at best.
Cypher captured Lugia and gave it the shock therapy of a lifetime. Pain we can only imagine. With it comes the most dangerous Shadow moves available. Shadow Blast, a Shadow rendition of Aeroblast, Shadow Storm, which damages multiple Pokemon, and Shadow Shed, which removes all screens and safeguards. While Shadow Lugia is indeed an absolute menace, I can't really put it any higher since the story significance is rather low. I mean, it
50
lifted a
plus?
ship one time, sure,
Huh.
but otherwise it's just a glorified cosmetic Lugia for Hot Topic kids to gush over. Yeah, I guess Ari wasn't missing much.
See, even I was right. Number 9, we have...
If you thought Fire Emblem villains get brainwashed or possessed way too many times, Kirby's King of Dreamland puts them all to shame. Combined!
No doubt
While
about
DDD
that.
initially starts off as one of Kirby's defining rivals, over time he usually ends up becoming the enemy because some form of dark matter is constantly taking over his body. And as the icing
someone.
on the cake, his own reflection captures all of those aspects. In the DDD Tour campaign of Triple Deluxe, you play as the Penguin King and encounter the source that corrupted the main villain, Sectonia. It turned out to be none other than Dark Mind's own mirror. And from it, Shadow DDD emerges. This dark reflection of DDD is essentially the culmination of all his versions that have been brainwashed or possessed by dark matter.
I
Not
can see
only
that.
are his attacks buffed up from the average DDD, but he even has the creepy stomach jaw attack. Now you may be wondering why Shadow DDD counts when he's not the same body
Good lord, what's going on back there? Aurora Borealis?
as regular DDD. Well, that seems to be the case, until we see what role it plays in Team Kirby Clash. Shadow DDD here is the parallel timeline version who was fully taken over by Dark Mind and becomes King D Mind. The original text even described him as what the Great King must overcome. the darkness inside his own heart. Jeez, with the amount of obtuse lore and mistranslated text in this series, Kirby's aiming to be the next Kingdom Hearts.
Indeed.
It kind of already
Considering
is.
DDD's come far enough to become a hero in his own way, to the point where he's even shattered Darkmind's mirror himself, shows how far he's come to challenge what could have been the cautionary tale. It's pretty good character development for him. Now watch as he gets possessed again. And again. We should
And
make a
again, and
drinking game
again,
out
and
of
again,
this.
and again.
No, don't.
Alright, well, on to number 8.
Xenogears, the primordial ooze from which the expansive Xeno meta franchise emerged. While certainly messy in some
Never played
ways,
it.
it presents many interesting ideas while handling its religious and psychological symbolism surprisingly accurately. Among the many game's villains, there is Id. Every time this guy is on
Id?
screen, you know something
Oh,
is
Id.
about to get screwed up. He shrugs off attacks like they're nothing, casually tosses a friggin' warship, and blows up a floating city. But there's something off about
Oh,
Id.
that's
Whenever he
badass.
appears, our hero, Faye, is nowhere to be seen. Now, anyone with a modicum of storytelling experience could probably guess that he's Faye's dark side. Short answer, yes. Long answer, it's complicated. As a young
Yep,
child,
that is.
Faye's mother, Karen,
Yes.
was possessed by the
And
evil
it's
Myung
complicated.
and subjected him to experiments. This was so traumatic for him that he created an alternate personality to deal with it. Things only got worse when Faye used his power as the contact in an attempt to kill himself. Karen was
Ooh,
able to regain
that's
control
crazy.
and sacrifice herself to save him, but the whole ordeal caused the alternate personality to take over. Eventually, Faye's father, Khan, caught up with him and sealed Id within him. This whole time, the Faye you saw
Whoa.
was actually his third personality, with the other two suppressed. Oh, I get it. Id,
Oh.
ego, superego. When
Oh.
Faye finally remembers this, he's able to
You know, no. That's actually kind of clever. That's clever. I'll give that a clap and a half. That's actually pretty damn brilliant. Yeah, thumbs up.
fuse with it and awaken to the ultimate gear, Xenogears.
He said it! He said it!
On to number 7.
Luigi takes much more of an active role in
Ah,
Super
Mr.
Paper
L.
Mario. In the first two games, he was keen to just chill back at the house or have his own adventures. Here, he's a full-fledged playable character. But before he joins
yeah.
you on his quest, you must first defeat his alter ego, Mr. L. Yes, after being brainwashed by Nastasia, Luigi fights against the heroes. And it's glorious. He becomes a
Glorious or
straight-up
corny?
Saturday morning cartoon villain bent on standing in your way just for the sake of it.
Glorious.
And
Got
despite
it.
how obvious his disguise is, none of the other characters ever bother putting two and two together. My headcanon is that people just think so highly of Luigi that him turning into a villain doesn't even cross their minds. Even though he only shows up twice, he still makes such an impact that I had to include him. Not even
Yes.
showing up after a world ends will stop him from spouting quips. I think the only thing that prevents Mr. L from being any higher is that he doesn't really have that interesting of a backstory. I feel like they could have potentially done something with the whole secretly jealous of Mario thing. And again, that would
Ooh,
lead to
that
more
would've been
evidence
good.
for the Mario is secretly evil, you guys BS.
I mean, Mario, he's an asshole of a brother, but, you know,
They say
He's an
competition
asshole.
brings out the worst in people. I mean, just look what it did to Ryu. You push him too hard and he gets a big ol' hole in his chest and makes him a bloodthirsty adrenaline junkie.
Damn.
Steroids. Not even once.
Bang!
Okay, there's
Didn't
my
even hear
fun
what
for
he
the day.
said.
There actually is a name for this. Satsui no Hado, aka Dark Hado. Also, aka Wave Motion of Murderous Intent, or Surge of Killing Intent. Basically, it's a dark energy inside a fighter that ramps up their physical and spiritual strength, and their desire to win a match, no matter the cost. Akuma,
Oh,
the evil brother of our
shit.
mentor, is a bona fide master of the art. He recognizes
is.
that there might be a little inside our boy Ryu, and schemes to bring out the World Warrior's dark side. And thus was born onto the world Evil Ryu. At first, this evil counterpart was
Ryu, there
just
it
the
is.
color swap version of our hero in darker clothes. But later,
But I'm gonna say this right now. I don't care if it's pronounced Ryu or Ryu. I'm gonna say Ryu because that just sounds better to me. If you got a problem, take it up in the comments below. Well, either way, let's go.
he gets an awesome redesign where he basically goes full Akuma. Red eyes, fangs, and a gaping hole in his chest. Kind of symbolizing how a part of the real Ryu's gone missing once he's embraced his darkness. So how tough is Evil Ryu? Well, think about how powerful our pure boy is, then imagine that he stopped holding back. And now you're barely even halfway there.
Oh,
Screwed.
You know that gash on Sagat's chest? Evil Ryu caused that the first day he was brought out. His strongest move, the Raging Demon, obliterates an opponent's soul with the strength of their sins, meaning the more nasty
Damn.
no-nos you've committed, the more painful your death is. Heck, in the Asura's Wrath crossover level,
I'm pretty sure that's just straight up like the Penance Style from Ghost Rider.
Asura actually sees Evil Ryu as his equal. If this galaxy-dodging and god-punching rage boy sees someone as on his level, you know they gotta be pretty dang tough. Thankfully,
Yeah.
Ryu's been able to keep his literal inner demon quelled. The storylines with you playing as his darker half are actually what-if scenarios. In actuality, though the temptation was there, Ryu was able to purge himself of his tainted half, where I'm sure we'll never see him again. Oh, fudge. Kage exists. Well, all that blood
Well,
must have to go
shit.
somewhere, and Kage is what happens when Evil Ryu becomes canon. His only mission is to prove his superiority over the original. He's definitely cool as well, but
Huh.
I kind of like the complexity Evil Ryu gives us a bit more.
Just asking, but couldn't you just call him Cage? I know it's probably not pronounced that, but if you saw that name for the first time, you would probably pronounce it as Cage.
More. I mean, everyone loves a good what-if story, and if what we got in canon is anything to go by, we should count our lucky stars Ryu knew when to hold back.
I mean, I gotta agree with you on that. On to number 5, we have...
Y'all knew this
Of
was
course.
coming. Of course, the series that says the word
Darkness.
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 so much you can make a drinking game out of it has a dark form for our dear protagonist, Sora.
Take a drink every time you hear the word darkness. Oh god, you'll smash within 10 minutes.
Thing is, Sora technically has two dark forms. Anti-form in KH2 and Rage form in KH3. I don't mind telling you, there was a lot of debate over which one should be on the list. But then we realized something. Anti-form and Rage form might be the same thing in different stages. Let me explain. Anti-form
that
came
makes
about
sense.
because Sora's heart couldn't take the strain of the dry forms after he stabbed himself with the Keyblade of people's hearts in order to free Kairi. So, every so often, the darkness would consume him and send him into Anti-form. Anti-form is wild, untamed, slashing at everything and anything within reach. Anti-form's movement is also wild, almost bestial, fidgeting like a caged animal even when
Damn,
idle.
it is.
Rage form, on the other hand, is more controlled. Sora can choose to enter this form and he retains his Keyblade. His movements are also much more tame. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora learns that darkness in and of itself isn't evil. I think that Rage form is anti-form after Sora mastered the darkness within him to some extent. In this way, anti and rage forms show Sora's growth as a character. Sora
It
began
makes
with a
sense.
black and white view of the world, but as the games progressed, he learned that there are shades of gray, and not everything is so clear-cut. If Riku
Bum.
was anything to go by, he learned that both light and darkness have a place and can be used for good. And once he internalized that knowledge, he came to be able to wield his own darkness without losing himself to it. Or
Boom.
maybe I'm reading too much into it. It was written by Nomura, after all. Hey, wait a minute! If Sora and Riku
Oh.
are walking proof that light and darkness can coexist, that means that Xehanort's wipe existence to a clean slate so darkness can't destroy everything because darkness is always bad plan was just him either being stupid, stubborn, or both!
Yes. Oop, hold on folks, be right back. And we're back.
Why does he suck the more I think about this franchise?
Maybe you just meant to hate him. Well, on to number 4, we have...
The surprisingly sizable Trails audience I have? Shout out to all y'all. We talked about these bosses a couple times, so let's get into the story and lore. Don't worry, it won't be too bad. I'm only going to talk about and spoil lore in 4 80-hour games. I promise I will keep it
Oh,
brief, but
boy.
spoilers for the entire Cold Steel saga here. In Trails of Cold Steel, we
What
follow
the-
human friendship speech Reen Schwartzer as our main protagonist, and he's... Well, think what happens if a Persona protagonist could speak, and we get Reen. Now that
Oh.
may be funny, but
I
Reen's
think I get it.
backstory is anything but. Similar to probably half this list, Reen holds a special power inside him that he is afraid of. This ogre power of his comes out whenever he is pushed to his limit or when he sees someone else in danger. He becomes much stronger and faster, but also
Autumn
more
leaf
destructive,
cuddle.
letting his
Damn.
emotions take control of him. While he has been able to control the power in the form of spirit unification, as the games progress, it becomes harder and harder to manage. And at the end of Cold Steel 3, everything goes to crap. Several of Reen's friends die right in front of him, including his classmate Milliam, who sacrificed herself to save her sister from the same fate. This makes Reen lose
Damn.
absolute control, succumbing to his power and corrupting his divine knight. And then he proceeds to absolutely obliterate the final boss
Oh.
and get captured by the main villain.
Oh, man.
In Cold
A
Steel
friggin'
4,
course.
you see him chained, completely corrupted by his power. His name is erased, and all he feels is hate and anger towards those who killed his friends. It takes all of his comrades finding him and his students defeating him in battle to awaken him from the curse within him. Oh,
Thank God.
but it isn't over. Reen has to spend the rest of the game in fear of his power, as it can re-corrupt him at any moment. Which actually translates into an in-game mechanic. And don't get me started on how
Demon
stupid of a reason that
Unchained.
came about or how broken it is. Anyways, towards the end of Cold
Not
Steel 4,
bad.
we learned that Reen obtained the power when he was a child. He was killed by mercenaries hired by political opponents of his father, Osborne. Osborne,
Well,
praying
shit.
for someone to save him, made a deal with the Ebon Knight Ishmelga to become his pilot. In exchange, he saved Reen's life. Not only did it cause Osborne to become Ishmelga's puppet, but it also made Reen into a sacrifice, a being corrupted by Ishmelga's curse and who is driven to cause the world's end. Ooh, how fun.
Well,
eventually, Reen
that
confronts
sucks.
his dark side in a test to master his sword style, striking it down and obtaining a new power in the process. But it isn't until Cold Steel 4's ending that he is able to defeat Ishmelga and free himself from his fate once and for all. While you don't see too much carnage caused by Reen, the power he exhibits and the rage that flows through him make him a terrifying
Honestly, not bad. Kind of an interesting story.
presence. It easily has the biggest buildup on this list, and just from the moments seen in Code Steel 3 and 4, make it a worthwhile spectacle. My biggest and really only complaint is that we should have had more screen time with Reen fully corrupted. That and all the deaths that caused his fall get fixed by Cold Steel 4's end. Yeah, it gets dumb. Now, despite
kinda
that,
dumb.
he's still a worthy dark side. And if you don't think so, you truly have no idea how much I omitted from this entry despite its length. Trails lore is still as dense as always.
Do think it's thicker than a... crap, I got nothing. Number 3, we have...
It's life, but you don't get to pick what you inherit from your family. You could get stuck with a lot of baggage, a kind of useless knickknack, or a demonic alter ego made from your dad's genes. Oh, like
what?
you've never looked on Ancestry.com and found demonic parasocial bond in your bloodline. And that's exactly what
Oh,
Jin from the
shit.
Tekken series got stuck with. A devil gene that forces him to share a brain with an aggressive spirit. Jin and his father Kazuya get their devil sides through genetics, stemming originally from Kazuya's mother and Jin's grandmother. The influence left Jin
Okay.
branded on his arm as a result, but for a while, the devil stayed dormant within Jin, so it looked like everything was under control. Until dear old Grandpa Heihachi ended up bringing him out after shooting Jin in the head. Smooth move,
Dumbass.
Gramps. Since that
That guy
day,
is always
not
causing
unlike
trouble.
Ryu, Jin finds himself repeatedly overtaken by his darker half, appropriately dubbed Devil Jin. Unlike Evil Ryu, however, Devil Jin is very much canon, and he is a high-flying time bomb of homicidal rage, complete with Sephiroth wings. He's much stronger
Yeah.
than regular Jin.
I mean, he's doubled up on Sephiroth Wing. Because get it, Sephiroth... you already know the joke.
Taking a page from the OG's karate manual and throwing demonic laser beams and the like to make him thrice as deadly. One of the major conflicts throughout the series is the desire for power through the gene, but as of Tekken 6, Jin just wants it gone. He can barely control the beast
Get this
within,
damn
and it
thing out of
slowly
me!
eats away at him. He's so desperate to get rid of it that he uses it to try and destroy the gene's original creator, hoping it'll automatically cure him. Yeah, that worked not at all.
Nope.
The gene is still stuck with him, and by Tekken 8, He just has to learn to live with it. I actually really like this on a symbolic level. Like it or not, you can't truly ditch the bumps your bloodline left you, so your only hope is to just learn to cope. The fact that Devil Jin's rage
Pretty
is
damn
caused by his
cool, though.
own family really adds an extra layer of tragedy. Really makes me feel lucky I have such a close familial bond.
Oh, that was kind of cool. So now we move on to number 2, and it's...
Looking back, the original Jack and Daxter
Really?
kind of reminds me of Season 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender.
I can see that.
Things start out bright, silly, and adventurous. Then the next adventure comes around and things take a much darker turn, reminding you that even cartoon worlds ain't all sunshine and cactus juice. So, why do I make this comparison?
Cactus
Because that's
juice.
kind of what ends up happening
Drink
in
the
Jack
cactus
2.
juice.
Set 500 years after the events of the first game, time travel, our titular twosome find themselves on another misadventure in Haven City, a dystopian landscape under the pressure of Baron Praxis's tyrannical thumb. Jack ends up getting kidnapped by Praxis and is forced to endure 2 years of being experimented on
Damn.
with Dark Eco. For context on why we're
Oh,
inevitably
boy.
doomed, Dark Eco was shown to be bad. Like, really, really bad. It kills you instantly, and if it doesn't do that, it mutates you or turns you evil. And for Praxis's little
Oh.
experiments, he had Jack pumped
Or it does or it does all of that at once.
full of the tainted stuff. Already we're incredibly worried, especially after...
I'm gonna kill Praxis.
Guys, those are the first words we've ever heard Jack say.
Yeah.
Words "oh" and "bugger" would seem to be appropriate.
And thus, Dark Jack is born, where his worst impulses are heightened. He becomes supercharged, and worst of all,
Damn.
he can barely recognize friends from foes. He even gains new powers like the Dark Bomb and Dark Blast. Even after Jack returns to
Awesome.
normal, he's never truly free of his new persona. He can collect Dark Eco along the way and go rogue at will. But considering how ruthless he is, do we really want to risk that?
Jack Monster!
No, you are not.
It's been said that Dark Jack was underutilized
I mean,
for Jack 2.
yes.
Yeah, I could definitely see how, considering recharging the form takes freaking forever. But consider where Jack was at the start of the series. The strong, virtuous, silent type. Literally, he never spoke a word, but it was clear as day
Well,
that
never
he
got
was
a chance to.
pure-hearted, if a little mischievous. But then Jack 2 comes around, and the poor guy was subjected to 2 years of being some tyrant's guinea pig. Yeah, he's still hero-ish, but he became hardened and vengeful after the whole ordeal, and it left a permanent scar in the form of a rogue, darker half. Thankfully, in Jack 3, he gains the power of Light Eco to balance things out, so he can finally feel at peace
perfect.
again. Still, what he had to go through to get there. I'm shuddering just thinking about it.
Now we get to the honorable mentions.
Hegemon Edelgard, Fire Emblem Three Houses. She's upset about the lack of humanity, but then turns herself into a zombie. And how do you spell
What?
hypocrite? Wild Iori, King of Fighters. I have sleep paralysis nightmares about a face like his. Oni Akuma, Street Fighter.
Huh.
A slightly darker version of an already dark character.
Yeah, kind of, I get it. Move on to number 1. We have...
Up to this point, we've seen some truly crazy dark forms, whether it's the mindless Shadow Lugia, the power-hungry evil Ryu and Devil Jin, or even the resentful Sacrifice Reen.
True.
It was hard to order these monsters, but it wasn't hard to figure out number 1, as while all these characters do crazy things,
Of course. Nightmare from Soul Calibur. Really should have realized that.
they don't compare to the discarded knight who lusted for the power of the evil sword. It's been so
Boom.
long since we talked about Soul Calibur, but when making this list, Nightmare was one of the first dark forms to come to mind. His bloodlust and infamy in the fighting game community make him an easy choice for this list. But
Oh, yeah,
why
he's a
is he
boss.
number 1? Well, let's take a look at the man whose dark side he belongs to, Siegfried. Siegfried grew up as a swordsman, training under his father Frederick, a proud knight. When Frederick left to participate in the Crusades, Siegfried fell into and became the leader of a group of thieves. The group decided to target and steal from a group of Crusader deserters, and Siegfried was able to kill their leader. However, when he looked at the man he killed, it turned out to be his father. He
Damn.
went through a psychotic breakdown from this and convinced himself that someone else killed his father. He sought out the blade's soul edge, thinking it would be the only thing that could kill his father's killer.
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
When he
Yeah,
found
yeah,
it, the
kinda,
blade
kinda.
spoke to him, promising to resurrect his father if he gathered enough souls to restore the blade's power. Siegfried accepted, killing many people and feeding the blade. At least, until he succumbed to the sword's powers, transforming him into the Azure Knight.
Like at first, the blade is just a regular sword, nothing more. But then as you feed it and it grows stronger, oh, you grab the handle, and the handle grabs back. And that's when you become...
Nightmare. As the main antagonist of the series, Nightmare gathers friends and foes alike to harvest souls for him to restore Soul Edge and his power, all to destroy the world through it.
Yeah,
His
he's a
bloodlust
boss.
Put the world
I
into
mean, a
chaos,
beast.
but was eventually defeated by Kilik and Xianghua, freeing Siegfried in the process. Siegfried, free from his psychotic episode and remembering bits from his time as Nightmare, distanced himself from the world, hoping to atone. But it didn't
I'm
work.
out of here. Ba, ba,
Soul
ba, ba,
Edge's
ba.
influence still existed within Siegfried, and it eventually corrupted him again, leading to Nightmare's revival. But don't worry, he was much more tame this time. Just kidding.
Yeah,
he led another massacre across Europe, seeking Soul Edge's pieces. Eventually, Siegfried was freed, for good, after fighting Raphael
Again?
prior to the events of Soul Calibur 3. A desperate strike from Raphael pierced Soul Edge enough for Siegfried to regain control and free himself and Soul Calibur from its hold. Nightmare then possessed Siegfried's discarded armor and became his own entity separate from the Fallen Knight. The two
Oh,
then clashed
yeah.
many times throughout Soul Calibur 3, 4, and Legends, hoping to end the other for good. But then Sophia's kids went all ballistic and reset the universe, causing all the events depicted prior to happen in a slightly different way. And
Of
now
course.
Siegfried is canonically still stuck as Nightmare.
I can't do anything right.
Loser! You're a loser!
Siegfried and
Don't kick the
Nightmare
bomb.
stand out from the others, not only as a more sadistic dark side, but also because of the effect one has on the other. Siegfried went from a cocky murderer to fearing the blade, spending every waking moment trying to atone for his past deeds. By Soul Calibur 5, Siegfried reformed his group of thieves into a group of mercenaries, doing more noble deeds, and
Yeah,
acting
okay.
as the conduit to give Soul Calibur to the next generation. Though, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have done that last thing. I'm the Fiery Joker, and man, I'm glad I don't have a dark form. It'd be fun to think about. Though it'd probably just like Ponzo Kami and have a deep obsession with ice.
God!
You know what, that could be kind of funny. Well, folks, that's going to be the end of today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.